This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 1076, Specific Identification of Shares, by the Mad Fientist of madfientist.com. And I am Dan, I'm your host here on Optimal Finance Daily, and this is where I read to you from some of the very best personal finance blogs on the planet. And thanks to Fundrise for their support. As you may know, a portfolio that's well diversified has better chances of long-term success. It should contain investments in various asset classes that include real estate, with real estate historically acting as an effective inflation buffer. Did you know that Fundrise was awarded the title of Best Real Estate Investment Platform 2019 from the FinTech Breakthrough Awards? I'll share why at the end of this episode. Visit fundrise.com/OFD. That's fundrise.com/OFD to have your first 3 months of fees waived. For now, let's get right to the post as we start optimizing your life. Specific Identification of Shares by the Mad Fientist of madfientist.com. A few months ago, I wrote a couple of articles about harvesting investment gains and losses for tax purposes. In the tax loss harvesting post, I described how it can be beneficial to sell investments for a loss in order to use that loss to reduce your taxable income. Conversely, in the tax gain harvesting article, I showed that in some situations it may be a good idea to sell your investments for a gain to increase your cost basis. What I didn't tell you is how to structure your taxable portfolio so that you can easily sell the investments that have depreciated in some years and those that have appreciated in others. Today I will do that. Cost basis. When you buy an investment, the price you bought the investment for is the cost basis. Note, the cost basis can be adjusted for stock splits, dividends, etc. The cost basis is important because it is used to calculate how much tax is owed when an investment is sold. Accounting methods. When you sell an investment, there are various accounting methods that can be used to determine the cost basis. The three types that Vanguard offers are average cost, FIFO, first in, first out, and specific identification. To illustrate the differences between these various methods, let's create an example scenario to play around with. Assume you purchase 100 shares of investment X in your taxable portfolio every year for 3 years. In year 1, you purchase 100 shares of the investment for $10 per share. When you buy the investment again the following year, the price has risen to $20 per share, so you buy 100 shares at $20 per share. Finally, in year 3, the price has risen again, and you purchase 100 shares of the investment for $30 per share. Let's take a look at what would happen if you decided to sell 50 shares using the three different accounting methods. Average cost. The average cost method simply takes all of your cost basis values and averages them to produce a single cost basis for all of your shares. In the example provided, the cost basis using the average cost method would be $20 per share. This is a reasonable way of doing things, but what if the price of the investment falls to $20 in year 5 and you'd like to harvest those losses on the shares you bought in year 3? With average cost accounting, you wouldn't be able to do that because your average cost basis would be $20. So selling 50 shares of the investment for $20 wouldn't result in any gains or losses. First in, first out, FIFO. The second method uses the cost basis of the oldest shares in your portfolio first, i.e. the shares that go in first are the first to come back out. So again, in our example scenario, you still wouldn't be able to harvest your losses using the FIFO method either, because if you sold 50 shares when the price dropped to 20, you'd actually create a taxable gain of $10 per share because you'd be selling the shares that you bought in year 1 for $10 per share. Specific identification. Luckily, the final accounting method, specific identification, allows us to specify which shares we would like to sell. To harvest our losses in year 5 when the price falls back to $20, we would simply specify during the sale that we would like to sell the shares that we bought in year 3 for $30 per share. What if we instead wanted to harvest our gains when the price was at 20? The specific identification method would allow us to do this as well because we could simply choose to sell the shares that we bought in year 1 for $10 per share instead. Changing methods. At Vanguard, the default accounting method for mutual funds is the average cost method, and the default for brokerage shares is FIFO. Although you can change your cost basis method during the execution of a trade, it makes sense to update your default cost basis method for all taxable investments to the specific identification method. To do this in Vanguard, you simply need to select the Account Maintenance option under the My Accounts tab and then click the Cost Basis Method link. Taxable accounts. Please note, you only need to worry about cost basis in your taxable accounts. Cost basis is irrelevant in tax-advantaged accounts like 401ks and IRAs because gains within those types of accounts are not taxed when shares are sold. Conclusion. As you've seen, specific identification of shares is the best cost-basis accounting method for those wanting to minimize taxes. Although it adds an extra step when selling your investments, having control over exactly which shares you sell is well worth the additional effort. You just listened to the post titled Specific Identification of Shares by the Mad Fientist of MadFientist.com. And thank you once again to our friends at Fundrise. Getting started with real estate investing doesn't belong to a secret group of powerful and wealthy individuals. Fundrise is the first online platform that makes real estate investing accessible to everyone. On Fundrise, you can personally select the properties you'd like to invest in, which range from downtown high-rises and commercial renovations to multifamily apartments. All of the projects on Fundrise are carefully vetted and managed by Fundrise's team of real estate professionals. The platform's investor-first model eliminates extraneous costs, therefore saving you time and money when you choose to invest. Visit fundrise.com/OFD. That's fundrise.com/OFD to have your first 3 months of fees waived. And that's it for today. I thank you so much for listening and for subscribing as well. Hope you're having a terrific week, and I'm going to see you right back here tomorrow, where your optimal life awaits.